Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello again, dear viewers. Trust you are keeping well, because I am, or maybe I should say, we are. I'm not alone. When I say not alone, I mean around here, not in the studios. So we are doing very well. We have a whole team working together to bring your favorite learning educational program, The Bookshelf, to you from the Western Spring Television Studios. The Bookshelf is the platform where we are focused on bringing on board everything and everyone that has a relationship with books. And I am your teaching and learning advocate, Damilola Raphael. Super delighted to be making a return on the Bookshelf today again. Now, the last time we met, we talked about me speaking a new language. And what was that language? Do you remember? Think, 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 think. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Remember, remember, remember. Ta-da! What was it? Chess. I spoke chess the last time we met on the Bookshelf. And here we are again today. You're wondering, where is my language? Do not worry, because we are going to be speaking a different language today with a different set of people. They are unusual people, not everyday people. Yes, that's the word. They are not everyday people. We are going to be moving into shows that you don't pray really to move into. But I remember saying, just very recently, I was having a conversation and I said, I don't pray to be there, but I will be there. And the only reason I will be there is to reach out to people who are there and help them to see light outside, even right there within their situation. That's why we are going there, shed light to them. Remember, there was a time we were having one of the introduction on the Bookshelf, and we talked about having to do the unusual, the irregular. If it's becoming boring, if it's looking like it's an endless repeated cycle, an endlessly repeated cycle, then you just have to break out of the norm. And we said for you to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't have been doing, or maybe not everyday things. Now that's one of it for us right here, breaking out of that cycle. We do break out of cycles. I mean, we just cannot be boxed, right? Great, we cannot be boxed, because right here we bring it to you as it is. I believe you have been catching up on our previous programs, previous editions of the Bookshelf. Do well to catch up on our YouTube channels, on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television. Do yourself the favor and, of course, help us go ahead and spread the word. Remember, when you are better, I am better. And when we are better, the world becomes a better place. Talking about unusualness, we are we are visiting the prison. Don't let me say we are going to the prison. We are visiting the prison, depending on how you interpret that. But it is what it is. We are there right now, yes, in prison, and we're bringing solace to the people right. They're bringing light out of that darkness where they are in. So let's talk about the prison. We'll be looking at what the prison is. Why do people go there? Are there benefits of having a prison? What are the downsides of the prison? And then, of course, we'll be looking at profiling solution as to how to manage the prison services, how to manage the people who are there, how to manage the people who are out of there. Of course, help so that we can have a limited number of persons going into the prison. So, the prison. The prison is an institution for the confinement of persons who have been remanded that's held in custody by a judicial authority or who have been deprived of their liberty following conviction for a crime. I'm going to take that again. A prison is an institution for the confinement of persons who have been remanded, that's held in custody by a judicial authority or a person who has been deprived of his or her liberty following conviction for a crime. A person found guilty of a felony or a misdemeanor may be required to serve a prison sentence. The holding of accused persons awaiting trial remains an important function of contemporary prisons, and in some countries, such persons constitute the majority of the prison population. All right. In some parts of the world, for example, generally about 1/5 of the prison population is unconvicted or unsentenced, while more than 2/3 of those in custody in India are pre-trial detainees. Looking at United Kingdom, looking at India, even here in Nigeria. While you're chewing on that, because it's beginning to look like a very, very hard pill to swallow, I'll give you this time out. And when we return, we'll be talking more on this same thing, because remember, the one that fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So let's just go ahead and do this. But this time out for you to feel.
Up to 75% of human infectious diseases originates in animals. And as more bushmeat is brought into our cities, the risk of human infectious disease outbreaks increases. Ebola, monkeypox, Lassa fever, yellow fever, and even COVID-19 may have been transmitted in this way. Illegal bushmeat trade not only endangers our wildlife, but affects our health and may damage our economy. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
You're welcome back. It is still the bookshelf from Western Spring Television Studios. I believe you've been able to really assimilate that, and you're ready now. You're open to receiving more information. Remember, it says that we're not going to go there, but definitely we will go there only to bring light out of the darkness of the people who are in there. And we are talking about books beyond barriers on the bookshelf today. And we're looking at the prison, beyond the barriers of the prison walls, beyond the gates, beyond the fences, bringing them light. Knowledge, right, is light. I remember that. The motto of one of the schools, I won't tell you which one I went to. Knowledge is light and ladder to success. Okay, so we're bringing light to them, right? We'll do it not just for those who were there, in order to save those who may be tending towards that direction, so we can save their lives, and also for those who are coming out to help them have a better life, become a better person for themselves and the entire human race. So we have looked at how that most of the prison population have people who have not been sentenced, pre-trial detainees, and all of that making up the population in the prison. And this is not limited to some of the nations that we mentioned earlier on. It's commonplace in most countries, and Of course, discussing this helps us have a better understanding and helps us come up with better policies, right? Good, good. Come up with better policies. Now, let's move on since we have established what the prison is. Let's look at some of the reasons why people end up going to jail. Talking about the word jail, G-O-A-L and G-A-O-L. Okay, so it's G-A-O-L. I want us to look at G-A-O-L. It's actually jail, not Gao. Okay, so let's look at some of the reasons people find themselves in prison. And I was looking at Quora.com, and somebody said being stupid. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true that is. That's kind of blunt. Okay, so first one I'll mention is drug-related offenses. Yes, one of the reasons people find themselves ending up in jail, drug-related offenses. Second one here is a physical assault, getting physical with someone else. Oof, who gets a person. So I won't say you because come on, you can't be reading and be getting in trouble. If you get busy, you won't get in trouble. Getting physical with another person. All right, you have information as to how to handle such matters, and then be able to come out of it without unscathed, as they will say, unscathed. Okay, unscathed. Okay. All right, moving on. Violating traffic laws. I remember sometime in Lagos, one-time governor, one-time minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Was it one time? Two-time, I believe. Two-time minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Babatunde Raji Fashola, BRF, said that there were going to be laws at that time as touching a person who is passing a one-way direction, driving against traffic. Yes, the person will be taken to mental facility, something like that. Okay. So violating traffic laws could actually get a person in trouble and see himself or herself being sent to jail. Another one is robbery, stealing, theft. Another major and common reason many people are serving jail or prison term today, whether it is breaking into someone else's property, shoplifting, or work-related robbery. They are all grounds for arrest. These crimes can lead a person to serve serious jail or prison time, and then the duration or bail often depends on the value of what he or she may have stolen and the level of the offense. Okay, let's move on. The other one is larceny. This is a type of theft where someone takes another person's property without permission. That's larceny. Now, that property could be car, it could be money, it could be labor, often associated with the crime of trespassing. Moving on, crimes against the law. These could be offenses such as failure to appear in court. That's contempt of court, right? Failure to appear in court or court-mandated programs, being told to do community service, for example, and then the person refuses to go ahead and do that. Obstructing justice, a breach of probation, and perjury. Inmates who fall into this category may have broken the law prior. So crimes against the law, we have an understanding of what that is. Now, sexual assault is another reason people find themselves going to jail. Cyber crimes and fraud, disorderly conduct, murder or homicide, all of these reasons the person could find himself or herself, themselves, basically going to jail. I think at this point I should include that I was having a conversation with some of my colleagues, and it was a training session too. And we said that using the police against a fellow citizen just because you seem to have some connection, you have some money, is wrong. So knowing your rights is very, very important. Checking across board different platforms, you should be able to pick right information that helps you. You should be able to know your rights. I mean, why would you be arrested just like that, being picked? There is a story that's trending on social media that around January, February, and it's still on. That case is still on. You know, the person eventually said, okay, we are going to court, charge the person to court, but still first went to pick you just go and pick somebody, from the house just because you have some powers. Sometimes we just have to learn to do the right thing, because we've talked about how it is the proper process before a person can be taken to jail, not just because you have connections and just dump whoever seems to have offended you in prison. That is not proper. All right, we'll be moving on now and be looking at some of the, are there positives really? Is there a benefit for prison? Why do we have prisons? The benefits, what are the downsides as well? Why we shouldn't have the prisons, or how the prisons have been managed. So high reoffending rates. It has been said that when a person goes to jail, they get to meet with hardened criminals who have been there for a long time. There seems to be this networking thing around there. So there is that rate, increased rates for an offender to come back out and become worse than he or she was, become worse than they were before going to prison. So that's one downside really of the prison. But then on the flip side, it's rehabilitation. Purpose of prison is actually for rehabilitation. Sort of when there is this penitence, repentance, as the word would go, and then the person comes out a changed, transformed being. All right, cost, very expensive. That's another downside, having to maintain. When the food inflation stuff was really, really high, really, really rampant in Nigeria, there were protests in the prison. Then another downside, overcrowding of the prison. Punishment and justice, yes, good side. I mean, perpetrators of evil should face the full course of the law, and of course it also helps to keep the public safe. So yes, it's here and there. There you got benefits, you've got the downside of having the prison. So let's move on now and talk about prison and learning. Remember, today on the bookshelf we're looking at books beyond barriers, and we're going to be talking about prison and library. Now, there are so many reports really. If you just go online, you see different national dailies talking about individuals, non-profit organizations reaching out to prisons and setting up libraries. And that is what I really want us to pick, lessons from, setting up libraries from prisoners. If you are without barriers, okay, what's your excuse for not learning? What's your excuse for not becoming a better person? What's your excuse for not getting information? What's your excuse for not going to school, getting an education? I'm talking about going to school and getting an education. School is expensive. Yeah. I don't have somebody that will sponsor me. Yeah. School is not as expensive as we think it is. I'll mention one important personality. Okay, I'll mention one that actually started what Nigerians are enjoying all over now, and that's talking about former President Olusegun Obasanjo. He was incarcerated in prison for a long period, and it was while he was there he gave his life to Christ. And guess what? He came out and established the National Open University of Nigeria, Books Beyond Barriers. He also established the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library. I mean, talk about someone who's been to prison. He came out as a better person. He's a high-profile individual, a global citizen right now, highly respected, highly rated across the United Nations. I mean, give it to him. When it comes to education, I think we should doff our hearts for the person of the former president, Chief Olusegun Aremu Obasanjo. He has his PhD now, yes, in theology. He did his master's and his PhD in theology at the National Open University of Nigeria. So just go ahead, do your research. I think I was reading something from some time ago about 26 inmates, Kirikiri inmates, graduating from the prison. I keep saying you do not have an excuse. I'm emphasizing you do not have an excuse for not getting information, for not going to school. It is everywhere. You don't know what look for our website. Somehow reach out to us. We'll help you get information. It's a global world. More Nigerians now are using the internet. Where are you on the internet? Don't be online and be underlined. You understand? So it's important that you help yourself get the right information so that you can become a better person for yourself and the entire human race. Another person who also became a president, I'm talking about Nelson Mandela. He actually did his law courses in the prison, talking about President Nelson Mandela. And he said something to his children during the apartheid in South Africa. He says that I have many other children out there. And when he passed in 2013 and watching, you know, the procession, everything around his burial and all that, I really, really respected him the more. If Nelson Mandela can, if he did, then you can. Another person highly rated is John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress. Yes, if he actually wrote that while he was in prison. And finally, I'm going to mention in Apostle Paul. Yes, the Apostle Paul, even in chains, with all of the stripes and all of that all over him, the pains, he wrote most of the New Testament book in the Bible. So, as I said, you do not have an excuse for not getting an education, for not getting the right information, for not becoming a better person for yourself. Remember, today our focus has been on books beyond barriers, prison, library, and this is where I'm just going to be letting the curtains down. Now we have looked at the definition of prison, why people go to prison. We've also looked at the upside and the downside of having the prison centers. It's now called correctional facilities, okay, or correctional centers in Nigeria. Okay, I gave some synonyms earlier when I was doing the introduction, the definition of prison. Okay, and we've also been able to look at some notable persons who went to prison and came out better, were there better, and then came out better. Why? Because they read, because they wrote, because they studied. And today, they're citizens. I mean, if you go to South Africa and you mention Nelson Mandela, here in Nigeria, you mention the Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. These are names that remain respected all over these different. I have to go now because I'm going out on another assignment. I can bring you a very beautiful, a more beautiful, it gets better all the time, edition of the bookshelf the next time that we will be meeting. Thank you very sincerely for following. So remember to follow all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television. My name is Damilola Raphael, and I'm saying adios. Dios les bendiga.